and 19-year-old Matthew Bryant. The two could face as many as 13 years in prison if convicted in the baseball bat beating of Richard Underwood Jr. Jurors were given that case late this afternoon. They deliberated for an hour before calling it quits for the night. The 7-year-old victim of a hit-and-run driver is home tonight. Kenny Hellman Bostic was released from the hospital today. He was hit by a vehicle Friday as he chased a balloon into the street. Police are searching for the driver of an older model pickup truck, possibly a Ford.
Tomorrow is the one-year anniversary of the day Oregon's assisted suicide law went into effect. At least 8 terminally ill people have so far used the law to end their lives. Earlier this month, the U.S. Congress adjourned for the season without taking up a bill to override the law. Opponents at a local Catholic conference say they'll work hard to halt state funding of the practice. It is time now for a quick check of the week's weather.
Let's check in with Rob. He'll tell us what to expect.
It was a great-looking day today. Temperatures into the mid-60s and plenty of sunshine once we burned off the clouds and fog. We have clear skies out there tonight. We'll look for patchy fog to once again develop by morning, an overnight low of about 48 degrees here in the Rose City. Mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow we'll see a little bit of a break of sun or two, but then rain will be moving in probably late in the afternoon. A high temperature expected, a little bit cooler tomorrow of about 60 degrees. So tomorrow afternoon, really tomorrow night is when we expect the next storm system to come in with a little bit of rain. Showers extending through Wednesday with an afternoon high of 55 degrees. Thursday, a nice day. Friday, a nice day. And more rain coming back at you on Saturday. Nice day today, Kathy and John, but rain coming in tomorrow night. Back to you.
And that's it for this look at the news. I'm Kathy Marshall.
And I'm John Marlar. World News Tonight is next. Good night.
On World News Tonight this Monday, the doctor who performed abortions, a warning not received in time. Taking the low road to the Senate.
And I think the congressman is foolish. And here,
how can we trust Senator D'Amato to...
The Senate race in New York may be the nastiest in the country. And beyond the horizon, all eyes on John Glenn. But what about Mars? We'll take a closer look.
From ABC News World Headquarters, this is a West Coast edition of World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. In Amherst, New York today, near the city of Buffalo, someone put up a picture of the doctor who was killed in his home on Friday night and a hand-lettered sign that said, "Respect life, don't murder doctors." Dr. Barnett Slepian, as much of the country must know by now, is the latest obstetrician and gynecologist to be attacked, murdered. In his case, ostensibly because he performed abortions. There's a $100,000 reward now for information leading to his killer. Dr. Slepian was 52. He performed abortions, said a friend, because he believed a woman had the right to choose. But he was having babies come into the world, said another, that was his life. He was buried today in Amherst. ABC's Bill Rediker was there.
It was a very private but very big funeral, restricted to family and friends. Dr. Slepian had a lot of friends. Nearly 1,000 showed up, including some whose children he had delivered.
This is what he was about, right here. Children. This is what he should be remembered for, not abortions.
But police today are convinced it was Slepian's work as an abortion provider that cost him his life. And they are looking for a sniper motivated by anti-abortion beliefs who fired a bullet from a high-powered rifle through the doctor's kitchen window last Friday night. Police also revealed that Slepian's wife had received a fax earlier that day from the National Abortion Federation. The fax warned abortion providers of a 4-year history of sniper attacks around this time of year. November 11th is the Canadian Remembrance Day holiday, renamed Remembering the Unborn Children Day by some anti-abortion activists. The fax warned, do not assume that you are safe once you are at home, and urged providers to talk to your local and federal law enforcement. Slepian's wife sent that warning to the Amherst police just hours before the shooting.
We received the fax, I believe it was around 4
It was in the afternoon.
4 o'clock in the evening, We did not take action.
Do you regret not taking the action?
I regret that the doctor is dead.
The killing has also reignited the abortion debate here. Today, a Catholic priest defended this provocative mock cemetery, marking hundreds of abortions performed in New York State this year.
There are murders that are happening each and every day, and in this case, this display represents 440 in New York State.
The killing of Dr. Slepian has already had an impact on other abortion providers. Neither of the two remaining doctors who practiced the procedure in the area went to work today. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Amherst, New York.
Police have not named a suspect in Dr. Slepian's murder. We're not sure they even have valid clues at this point. What they do have, at least so they believe, is a pattern of attacks. 3 Canadian doctors and another American doctor living near the border have been attacked in the last 4 years. All of the attacks close to Canada's Remembrance Day. Here's ABC's John Miller.
November 10th, 1995. Dr. Hugh Short was watching television at home in Ancaster, Ontario, when a bullet slammed through his second-floor window and shattered his elbow. The shooting of Dr. Short was the second sniper attack against an abortion provider, and it told police they were dealing with a new type of anti-abortion violence. In the 2 decades since the Roe v. Wade decision, 5 abortion providers or workers have been shot point-blank near their homes or offices. But in those cases, the attackers knew they would be captured quickly. But criminal profilers say the sniper has no intention of being caught.
This would be what we would refer to as an organized assassin, an individual who's highly skilled and put a tremendous amount of planning into the crime.
Sources tell ABC News he deliberately leaves behind false clues to confuse police, like shell casings from a gun that do not match the gun used in the attack. In this shooting, much of the sniper's advance work may have already been done for him. All the sniper had to do was turn to a home computer to access it. Anti-abortion websites like the Christian Gallery give abortion providers descriptions, home addresses, and telephone numbers. The website is dripping with computer-generated blood. The abortion providers are listed as active, wounded, or with a line through their name, dead. Dr. Slepian's name was crossed out just hours after the shooting. Activists on the most radical end of the pro-life camp make no apologies for the sniper.
I think the person that did it is a hero. I think they are a hero.
The FBI, ATF, and Canadian police have few clues as to the sniper's identity, and if the pattern holds, they have a year before he'll strike again. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
Now on to some of the other news today. On the money tonight, trading on the New York Stock Exchange was stopped for an hour today. Their computers were down. Stock prices were mostly unaffected. The Dow Jones Industrials were down just over 20 points to close at 84.32. On the NASDAQ market, stocks were up a little more than 31 points. In other ups and downs, AT&T's earnings are up 68% in the third quarter. Cost-cutting, a big increase in cellular service, and business phones making the difference. And the price of personal computers keeps coming down, so computer sales are up 14% in the last quarter. A 10-year-old boy in Pennsylvania made a contribution to the United Way, $18,196.91, all of it in pennies. They'll take it any way they can get it. And another good deed in the making, a dentist in South Carolina has offered to pay children cash for their Halloween candy. He's offering $1 a pound. Other news still ahead. Under the weather still, what is really going on with Boris Yeltsin? And beyond the horizon tonight, life on Mars. We'll take a closer look.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by AXA and the Equitable.
I can help you plan ahead and make sure you have money for things like your kids' education.
That's fantastic. But I was thinking about starting my own business.
As a matter of fact, that's part of the plan, too. Now, here's the best part. Guaranteed income for you and Meg to retire in style.
AXA, dynamic vision, Equitable, a trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the global AXA group.
Nobody does it like you.
To deep clean your carpet and upholstery, you can get a Hoover SteamVac Ultra and pay once. Or pay these guys
Nobody
every time.
does it like you.
Gosh, you know, I just went to use the phone.
You say once you got back, your wife was gone.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
What? Have you checked the hot enchilada? Oh, no. Millicent gets terrible heartburn. Not this time. What's that? Looks like the remains of an individually wrapped Pepsid AC chewable.
Introducing Pepsid AC Chewables, the first chewable to stop heartburn before it starts.
Millicent? Is that you?
Start living heartburn-free with new Pepsid AC Chewables.
No time to cook? Too tired to shop? Take home a Fiesta platter from Taco Time. Choose from a chimichanga, quesita burrito, or a crisp chicken enchilada Fiesta platter, complete with rice and refried beans, Mexi fries, and a classic Taco Time taco. Fiesta platters aren't combo meals, they're hearty Mexican take-home dinners. Carry them out or cruise through the drive-thru. Fiesta platters only at Taco Time.
Get more taste for your peso at Taco Time.
Everybody loves presents, so with minimum purchase, I'm giving away bonus gifts during my birthday sale. Plus, get tremendous markdowns on some of our most popular mattresses. This is a great opportunity for savings. So what gift do you want?
It's Car Toys' Big Deal Sale. Here's the big deal in wireless phones. 249 AirTouch digital minutes for just $30 a month until the year 2000.
Car Toys, a better way to go.
In the former Yugoslavia, the Serbs have removed some of the tanks and troops from the province of Kosovo. They're trying to beat a NATO deadline tomorrow night. U.S. officials say it's a step in the right direction today, but there are still thousands of soldiers and police who have not left. In Moscow today, the Russian President Boris Yeltsin was told by his doctors that he needs another 2 weeks off, and he's had to cancel his trip to a European summit scheduled for tomorrow. It is no joke when a man this powerful is as sick as Mr. Yeltsin is. ABC's Hillary Brown reports tonight from Moscow.
This is what the world has seen of the president of Russia lately. Walking across a room to greet a group of generals. Reviewing a color guard during an official visit to Central Asia. Attempting to write his own name on a state document. The Kremlin insists that apart from a bad cold, he's fine.
I see Mr. Yeltsin a lot. I judge by the way he looks, by the way he talks, how he communicates with me. Everything is normal.
But according to people who know Boris Yeltsin well, things are not normal. A former cabinet minister told ABC News that Yeltsin is unable to work for more than 3 hours at a stretch. His former press spokesman says Yeltsin has appeared at his Kremlin office only 17 times in the last 3 months. And he hasn't chaired a meeting for months because he doesn't make sense anymore. He's simply unable to function, he says. I'm not a doctor, but I think there's something wrong with his brain. This week, Yeltsin was pictured on the cover of Russia's leading news magazine in a jar of formaldehyde. The caption read, "Can this man be preserved till the year 2000? That is when the next presidential election is scheduled. Yet Boris Yeltsin is still the most powerful man in Russia today. He can dispatch an army, dismiss a government, and has control of the world's second largest nuclear arsenal. That is what worries everyone, inside and outside the country. Hillary Brown, ABC News, Moscow.
Several other important leaders making news today in Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu, who's just made a deal to give back land to the Palestinians, angering many of his own supporters, survived a vote of no confidence in the Israeli parliament. What may be another setback for the former dictator in Chile, Augusto Pinochet, who's still stuck in London. First, a Spanish judge said he wanted him extradited for murdering Spanish citizens in Chile during the 1970s. And today, the governments of Switzerland, France, and Sweden say they want him too. And this is the last day on the job for Helmut Kohl, the Chancellor of Germany, for the last 16 years and 16 days. Today, Chancellor Kohl was awarded one of his country's highest honors for the work that he did uniting East and West Germany when communism collapsed. When we come back, one of the closest political races in the country, and one of the meanest.
Every day, people all over America dial 10-10-321 to save money. And they save a lot. 50% on all their calls over 20 minutes. All day, every day. And from now until November 12th, dialing 10-10-321 not only can save you 50%, every call will also automatically enter you for a chance to win the $10,000 daily prize. 10-10-321. 50% savings every day. And every day, a $10,000 winner.
Introducing the new Silverado. It's bigger. It's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
We ease life's pressures. We help make lives more memorable. We're the people of Pfizer. We develop medicines that make the world a better place. We help people love one another. We help keep families strong. We take care of best friends. We spend over $2 billion a year on research. That's why we believe we'll introduce more new medicines for more diseases than anyone else. At Pfizer, we're not just looking for cures for the future. We're going to find them. We know in our hearts the only thing incurable is our passion. Pfizer, life is our life's work.
In politics tonight, you just knew that we'd get around to the Senate race here in New York. It isn't just because it's in our backyard, though it has certainly made political life in this state unusually interesting these last few weeks. Republican incumbent Senator Al D'Amato facing Democratic Congressman Chuck Schumer. And D'Amato was one of the most endangered incumbents in the country. This is probably the meanest campaign in the country. Here's ABC's John Cochran.
Autumn in New York. They write songs about it. It's always special, and this one more than most, with something to cheer about and something to jeer about.
I'd like to respond. I think it's ridiculous, the pot shots they're taking at each other. I think it's a stupid campaign.
A gutterball race where the defining issue is whether Senator D'Amato called the challenger, Chuck Schumer, a putz head.
I have absolutely no knowledge of ever having made that statement.
Hours later, D'Amato fessed up.
I'm calling on Al D'Amato to explain to New Yorkers how he could say one thing in the morning and the exact opposite in the afternoon.
In a city that prides itself on sophistication, New Yorkers found themselves analyzing the meaning of the offending word.
It means a small idiot as opposed to a schmuck, which means a big idiot.
Schumer used D'Amato's original denial to bolster his one-note campaign that the three-term senator is a liar.
D'Amato, too many lies for too long.
Schumer's negative campaign has a crude logic to it. He began the race as a Brooklyn congressman virtually unknown in much of the state. He feels he must undermine the credibility of his better-known rival. D'Amato's best counterpunch has been an ad blitz detailing Schumer's absences from Congress while campaigning.
Chuck Schumer's missed more votes in the last 12 months than Al D'Amato's missed in the last 12 years.
But then D'Amato went a step further, telling a Jewish group that Schumer failed to support victims of the Nazi Holocaust.
He missed the vote to make the Capitol Rotunda available for a magnificent Holocaust commemoration ceremony.
Schumer, who is Jewish, sensed that this one might boomerang on D'Amato.
To me, it was simply a below-the-belt hit, the likes of which I have never seen before in politics.
These are actually two veteran legislators with almost 40 years between them as major players on big issues. But you'd never know it from their ads.
Schumer votes for foreign aid for countries like Mongolia, but votes against upstate New York. D'Amato voted against education and against Medicare 12 times, and 11 times for aid to Mongolia.
2 hours north of Manhattan, the villagers of Walden are tuning out this campaign. At Sam's Barbershop, we caught up with author Pete Hamill and other locals.
I think they both feel that the audience is so stupid that it's glued to television all day long or all night long, and you don't have to do anything else.
Sal Patella thinks it's the meanest race he's ever seen.
I get the feeling it's a hate campaign. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're wrong, Sal. They don't hate each other. They just think this is what you have to do to get elected.
If you live in Mongolia, Schumer's your man. Al D'Amato's still lying.
John Cochran, ABC News, New York.
So much of politics is about your pocketbook. A new ABC News poll finds the number of people saying their financial situation is getting worse is the lowest it has been since 1984. Only 10% of likely voters say they are worse off financially now than they were in the last election. And satisfied voters tend to like the status quo, which means they tend to vote for incumbents. Other news in Richmond today, a jury ordered Nationwide Insurance to pay $100 million to settle a lawsuit filed by an equal opportunity housing group. The suit alleged that Nationwide discriminated against blacks by denying them homeowners insurance. When we come back, Beyond the Horizon, building a second home on Mars.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
Bacon! Bacon! Where's the bacon? I smell bacon! 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 Gotta be bacon! Only one thing smells like bacon! That's bacon! Bacon, 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 bacon! There! From that bag! What's it say? I can't read! Please, please, give me what's in the bag! Chewy, yummy, smoky bacon!
There you go.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! No, 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 no! It's bacon!
No, it's Bacon Strips, brand dog snack from Purina. Bacon Strips. Dogs don't know it's not bacon.
It's bacon!
We can show you people who believe every day is a gift. These same people believe that the level of commitment they've received from their healthcare company helped make that gift possible. We're Aetna U.S. Healthcare, raising the quality of healthcare in America.
Tylenol House Call from Extra Strength Tylenol.
Your medicine cabinet. You use it every day. But do you really know what's in there?
Not everything. No, I never thought about it.
My medicine cabinet? Well, it pays to take a good look in your medicine cabinet. You might be surprised to find that you may have a prescription drug that could interact with an over-the-counter medication, altering the effectiveness or safety of one or both of the drugs. So here's some tips for you and your medicine cabinet. First, read the label for any warnings about drug interactions. Then, get rid of all out-of-date medicines and those you don't take anymore. Who needs them? And if you're one of the millions of people who takes a prescription drug, speak with your doctor about the pain reliever you choose. For people on certain prescriptions, Tylenol is the brand of pain reliever doctors recommend most. So check out your medicine cabinet. Any questions? Check with your doctor or pharmacist.
Tylenol House Call is brought to you by Extra Strength Tylenol.
This week, we're going to spend some time beyond the horizon, which you can guess is motivated in part by the fact that Senator John Glenn is scheduled to go back into space this week, 36 years after he was there the first time. The space agency NASA is positively ecstatic about all the attention they are getting. After the countdown began today, John Glenn and his crewmates, they are destined to be the others on board, arrived at the Kennedy Space Center from Houston, where they have been training. 3,000 reporters have asked for credentials to cover the launch. And even though there's a healthy debate about whether this is science or a publicity stunt, we will also be there live on Thursday. One of the things that NASA very much wants to do this week is generate interest for a mission to Mars. So let's take a closer look at a possible Mars mission. Here's ABC's Jack Smith.
The spacecraft is go for launch.
NASA hopes to send astronauts to Mars by the year 2014.
And we have liftoff.
No other planet is as likely to have harbored life, and on no other do scientists so strongly want to establish a human outpost.
We're going to be walking on Mars, not with a one-shot mission. We're going to have a permanent presence on Mars.
Because a Mars vehicle would be too heavy to launch from Earth, it would be assembled piece by piece in Earth orbit. Half a dozen astronauts would then take 6 months to rocket the 34 million miles to Mars. They'd spend the next year and a half exploring and conducting experiments, then head home. Mission time, 2.5 years.
Mars is really going to be the place where humans will establish a second home in the solar system, and where they will begin to find the answers to some really critical questions that relate to the origin of life.
NASA is already laying the groundwork, with last year's Pathfinder and 2 more unmanned Mars missions in the next 3 months alone. It's also redesigning today's 200-pound spacesuits. They have to weigh much less because there's gravity on Mars. And cutting-edge medical technologies are being developed, wearable computers tested recently on Everest.
We would like to have these type of equipment on the astronauts as they go forward with space voyages.
monitoring them remotely and providing them assistance.
But the biggest challenge is bringing the cost of the mission down. One revolutionary idea is to save weight by prepositioning on Mars an empty spacecraft for the trip home.
That vehicle has within it the capability to generate its own fuel from the Mars atmosphere, making methane and oxygen out of the carbon dioxide atmosphere, so that we don't have to carry that fuel.
Why go to Mars at all? Well, if traces of old life are found, that means the universe could be full of life, that we're not alone. But there's another reason.
There's no substitute for human beings doing whatever human beings do wherever they can do it. And that is eventually going to take us away from Earth. It's going to take us to Mars. And I think it'll even take us beyond to the stars. And it's the human component that gives it meaning.
All engines running, liftoff.
It's what we learned during the moon program. Machines may be cool, but on Earth, we need to see our own kind out there, pushing the limits of exploration.
Name of the world's fastest human being.
Jack Smith, ABC News, Mountain View, California.
Pushing the limits of exploration. Only 12 men have ever walked on the moon. In a moment, we'll talk to the last man to do it.
You don't have to be president of the United States, or a superstar athlete, or a comic book superhero to be the most important person in the world to somebody. At Cigna, we offer life, accident, and disability insurance, so you can take care of and protect your family. But isn't that what being a superhero is all about? Cigna, a business of caring.
I've just got this burning love for food. But sometimes it just doesn't love me back. Heartburn surging up to here, what my doctor calls acid reflux. When I get it, he says, get Gaviscon.
Only regular Gaviscon forms a soothing, protective barrier to help keep stomach acid down, where it belongs. Mylanta can't, Hepcidase C can't, only Gaviscon can.
So my heartburn doesn't come back to burn me.
Gaviscon, it helps keep acid down, where it belongs.
There is an athlete amongst us, disguised as a mother and a neighbor. And when most of us are still sleeping, she's running. She also takes the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and folic acid in Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made by General Nutrition Centers. Tomorrow, she'll get up and run some more. Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made exclusively by GNC. Live strong, live well.
Parks, beaches, rivers, salmon. These are the things that make Oregon special. But after years of neglect, these Oregon treasures are in serious trouble. That's why Measure 66 is so important. By dedicating just 15% of lottery funds, we will restore and repair our parks and protect our salmon, all without raising taxes. Oregon is a special place, but it's up to us to keep it that way. Vote yes on Measure 66.
Seems I'm late for our little reception. No worries. I'm driving this new Subaru Outback. Shortcut. It's got full-time all-wheel drive, like my other Outback, so I can take it almost anywhere, like my other Outbacks. In fact, there's only one difference, really. Matilda. It's got this stylish rear end to go with her.
Nice trunk.
The all-new Outback Sport Utility Sedan from Subaru.
And so the last word tonight goes to the last man who walked on the moon. On Thursday, for our live coverage of the launch, we'll have several of the country's most famous astronauts with us to talk about the future and, of course, to reminisce. One of them is an old friend and a longtime ABC commentator, Gene Cernan.
This has got to be one of the most proud moments of my life.
I remember I was a kid flying airplanes off aircraft carriers when I heard President Kennedy said, we're going to go to the moon.
T-minus 30 seconds.
I think it may be another 50 or 100 years before people realize and look back at this millennium, at what we did and realize the significance and importance of it. I'm not sure we do yet.
It has been a long time since we were so focused on the Apollo program. So remind us again what it was like.
To sit on top of the Saturn V at night, 38 stories high, 7.5 million pounds of thrust. It's taken me 25 years to put that story in words.
So put it in words.
It's a love affair with a beast. It's a beautiful beast.
Did you always have complete and utter faith in the hardware?
Yes, we did. I think we had more faith in the people who were putting it together than we did in the hardware.
17 Houston, you are go for orbit. Go for orbit.
Thanks to your and other splendid photography, we've all seen the Earth from the surface of the moon.
The thing I remember most looking back at the Earth, it was there all the time. It's the most overpowering experience I think I've ever had. And it's home. It's what we understand.
We'd like you to leave immediately.
Millions of us just sat there holding our breath, waiting to see whether the lunar module would fly, and you'd get off the surface.
That's a very hectic moment.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
You only get one shot at it. We had about 7 seconds margin.
What were those famous, unique last words you said as you left the moon on Apollo 17?
We now leave as we once came, and God willing,
as we shall return. With peace and hope for all mankind. Godspeed the crew of Apollo 17.
You want to know what the real last words were? Just before we started that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 countdown, I looked over at Jack and I said, ready? And he said, we're ready. And I said, all right, let's get this mother out of here. I know you're not going to put that on the air, but anyway, those are the that's a Trivial Pursuit question.
We are going to put that on the air.
Tomorrow we're going to take a look at getting to space on the cheap. And that is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline, why the Marines are fighting to save a struggling ballet company. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening. I hope we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
Dodge Dakota is big everywhere, except here. Why would someone need a Dodge Dakota with a 175 horsepower Magnum V6 at no extra charge? We think it has something to do.
Equipment is very important. So, for me, Standard was my choice.
Since 1947, your family-owned, Portland-based TV and appliance dealer committed to your total satisfaction. Standard TV and appliance.
Amica, the people you want around just in case.
Where would you go in a Honda four-wheel drive CR-V? Would you climb Mount McKinley? Would you swim with dolphins? Would you sleep under the stars? Would you wrestle with a river? Would you search for lost civilizations? Would you find the perfect wave? Or would you go for a really thrilling video? The Honda four-wheel drive CR-V, prepared for anything you are.